Our story starts off in the 1830s. Slavery is still rampant, and no one has ever heard of that Abraham Lincoln guy. Well, on the banks of the Mississippi there lived a boy named Huck Finn. He was like any other regular boy himself, and he was around the age of 13. He was starting to grow older and trying to make decisions for himself. Well, after his foster parents tried to make him become more civilized, he was tired of it, and he wanted a new life. Well, after devising a plan to leave and go out on his own, his father kidnapped him and he was stuck in his cabin. Well, his dad was always drunk and nearly beat him to death a few times while he was drunk. So the next few days he had a plan. He went out and found himself a pig and killed it. He spread the blood around his cabin and eventually left the house and made it look like he was killed when his father wasn't there. After a while, he went to this place called Jackson Island, right down the Mississippi from where he lived, and he found a runaway slave named Jim. He knew him because he belonged to his foster parents a while back, and after a while he went down the Mississippi with Jim and had many great adventures with him, such as finding a lost shipwreck where they found three thieves and two of them planned to kill one of their other friends. They've also found a floating house which evidently had their father, Huck's father, in it, and they were involved in a feud that went back generations. And they also found some psychotic people trying to hang someone just for excitement and no real reason at all. Well, they were aiming for a town named Cairo, right where the river split to the Free States on the Ohio River, but they missed it in a fog, and they tried to run down to Louisiana and catch a ferry to New York. Well, after a while, they run into two people that eventually get the titles King and Duke after a very long series of events. They themselves had their own adventures, such as creating a play where they ran around naked on stage for 5 minutes. They staged themselves as dead man's relatives and almost fooled an entire family in many other harebrained schemes just to get them money. But after some of Huck's schemes of his own at the dead man's house, they found out when the actual brothers came along, but after a while they got away. So the ending of this story started when the king and the duke sold the slave Jim to get a quick buck, and Huck went to all ends to get him back. He eventually met up with Tom Sawyer's family and found Tom, and they went through in a super elaborate scheme that didn't make any sense at all, which eventually got Tom shot and Jim recaptured. The ultimate ending was Tom revealing that Jim had been a free man all along in his previous owner's will, Mrs. Watson, so Jim didn't have to run anymore. Mark Twain made a big satire against racism and slavery. He lived in a time when slavery was just abolished and racism was prevalent. He brought up an issue that white men still don't realize to this day, and people really admire him for everything he has done.